This episode is brought to you by Pinnacle Pathways. I'm Aarya.
And I'm Yuvam, and we're the founders of Pinnacle Pathways, a youth-led initiative built to help teenagers and young professionals navigate their way through the ever-evolving corporate landscape.
At Pinnacle Pathways, our mission is to bridge the gap between education and industry. We aim to equip students with the real-world skills, insights, and exposure they need to thrive not just academically but professionally.
Through interviews with industry leaders, hands-on learning opportunities, and personalized guidance, we're building a platform where youth are not just participants, but leaders of tomorrow's workforce.
We believe in the power of meaningful conversations, and that's exactly what we bring you through this podcast. So whether you're a student, an aspiring entrepreneur, or just curious about how industries really work, this is your space.
Let's dive into today's episode and get ready to uncover insights that could shape the future of your career and mindset.
Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower by Steve Jobs. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Pinnacle Pathways Podcast. At Pinnacle Pathways, our mission is to empower emerging leaders and professionals with actionable insights and inspiring stories to drive career transformation. Today, we are excited to explore the dynamic world of industrial microbiology and strategic marketing through the lens of digital innovation and business development. Joining us, Mr. Subhash Nair, a technical expert and business development leader in the field of industrial microbiology with over 19 years of experience across the Middle East, Africa, Central Europe, and Southeast Asia. Mr. Subhash has been instrumental in developing and growing market for biocides in industries such as oil and gas, water treatment, metalworking, paints, and animal biosecurity. He holds a PhD in enzyme fermentation, has authored several publications, and currently serves as a global product manager for LANXESS across Middle East, Africa, Latin America, and Asia Pacific regions. His expertise in microbial controls and strategic marketing has made him a respected voice in shaping innovation solutions for a complex challenges. Welcome, Mr. Subhash.
Thank you.
So to start off with, can you share with the listeners what first sparked your passion for industrial microbiology and how that passion has driven your career for the over past 19 years?
First of all, thank you guys to invite me for the Pinnacle Pathways podcast. I truly appreciate your initiative. It's a good way to learn about the corporate world, the industry, and so on. Your first question is about how did I come into this field? So I guess like you, I took up the physics, chemistry, biology, and mathematics in my 12th. All through my studies, I think you will definitely find a spark with one of the subjects that you like. Say, for example, I was more attracted towards biology, and biology had been something that I used to score well. So, obviously you tend to be more aligned to take a career up in biology. But another thing that fueled me up as a career was that I was also passionate about wildlife, about animal, taking care of animals, and so on. So I wanted to be a veterinary doctor when I was in my 10th and 12th. So you complete your 10th, you score well, you go to your 12th, you kind of get distracted a bit sometimes. But then obviously when you're back on track, you start to think about, the near term and the future on which one is better in terms of career. And so I was pursuing veterinary science, and as you know, that microbiology is allied science. Allied science means like you have medical, which is one of the most prominent profession which you get with biology. Along with that, you get veterinary science, nursing, the physiotherapy, and all these kind of allied. But microbiology had a tremendous scope because it touches all forms of life. So you can be a microbiologist, work for human, you can be a microbiologist, work for animals, and you can be also working for plants or for environment. So that thought made me think, now why not take up a microbiology till I get into a veterinary college, and there, my score took me to a good college, and I started my bachelor's in microbiology. And then obviously, like everybody, you're not so career conscious, right? You just start studying, you learn. The second year, third year, I started getting into more deeper with the microbiology. I liked industrial microbiology. I liked medical microbiology. And then came a point when I have to decide whether I start working or I pursue my education. And then I took postgraduate because my graduation was good and I was ranked one. So I got a good a college or an institute in Mumbai, and then I took my master's. Now, even when I was taking master's, my distraction or my attraction towards wildlife science and animal science didn't go. So I actually went to a university outside Maharashtra where I was residing, and I took an admission for MSc in wildlife science. And then, for some reason, because of some issues with the university, I couldn't pursue my MSc veterinary science. And so I came back and pursued the MSc microbiology. And then I got an opportunity to do PhD as part, and then I decided to go for industrial microbiology. So I didn't take up animal or plant, which I intend to take. But industrial microbiology, again, I'm trying to connect this because all through there was a connection to be closely associated with what you like to do, right? So I thought for industrial microbiology, you can be into a pharmacology where you can start making medicines and vaccines for animals, right? So you're still connected to the animal world, and you can pursue your passion. So I took up industrial microbiology, and if I'm being very technical, I got into a college or an institute called as, now it's called as the Institute of Chemical Technology. It is in the top 10 institutes in the world for chemical engineering. And obviously, when you get into these kind of institutes, you are pulled into the right companies, right? You are pulled into the right kind of people. And there you go. So after that, I could anchor myself to something more stable, something more directional in terms of career. And that's how I started into industrial microbiology, which I liked. So I started into producing enzymes, which I think you mentioned from my profile. So we'll talk about that as we go on, but then industrial microbiology became my tag for my doctorate. And the last year of completion of PhD, uh, I could publish into international journals. So when you do a PhD, your work is validated if it is published in an international journal, because it is not reviewed by your teachers, but is also reviewed by international scientists and reviewers. So once you got in there, your PhD, is in flying colors, and therefore that was done. And then I joined as a research manager, R&D manager in one of the Indian companies, and then I got into this field of biocides. So all through there was a passion connected that I will be always associated with biology. The second thing was there was always, a kind of what I could say as a character, which is to solve problems, to create something. So I was also creative in terms of, at that time laptop was a luxury, right? So, but I got a laptop in my post graduation time, but I started developing my website. Like you guys did, I had some projects with the computer at that time with absolutely zero education on computers. So that creativity also instilled that I should do PhD, where you are going to do something new, research something new. So these two things, that is a very clear idea that I will be in the field of biology. And secondly is that it should be a field where I can be creative or find something new. That was very clear now, and I think I ended up in the right place.
That's,
Okay.
that's a fascinating journey, and I also agree with that. Even our generation faces a lot of distraction and attraction towards something which might drive them away a bit, but it's also that they should always have the driving force which makes them come back to the passion and also connected with their profession.
Right.
Rightfully.
Because you're youngsters, I think I want to connect this. So as I said, why I said the whole story and summarized into these 2 points is that you have to identify, where you have that affinity or where you like to read more. I know you guys are more distracted than we were at your age, but definitely you can find out something which you like to read or you go back to. Maybe that is something which is fascinating to you. But keep in mind, you are in a very primary stage of your life. As you learn more, you will refine your thoughts, you'll refine your likings, and go ahead. So, but always keep in, behind your mind, what is that what is that, energizes me, what is that I like to do. So that will give you a direction in the world of distraction.
That's wonderful. So, so moving ahead, throughout your extensive career, you have managed to transform challenges into opportunities, especially in developing markets for biocides. Could you highlight one pivotal project that exemplifies this transformation and the impact it had on you?
Right. Now, see, once you are into a corporate world, you are in a multinational company, uh, and you come from a background which is very mediocre. I mean, you are from a middle class family. You studied all through in India, and then you are facing people completely of different nationalities, different experience, and every moment you are judged, right? I mean, any room you get in, any people you talk, everybody is judging. So you are in the initial stage, performance is what takes you ahead, right? You have to be a performer, you have to be, a very positive worker in the company. Your attitude matters a lot. So there are many things. So I wouldn't say one challenge, but I would say that once you get into the field of the industry, the corporate, where everything is profit and everything is is not academic, like, I published 10 papers, so what is it for the company, right? So you are evaluated on a daily basis, you are being judged, you are being looked at, they categorize people. So every day in a corporate life is a challenging. You have to maneuver through your manager, to your colleagues, to the industry. And I joined in a group, in a role where I have an external role. I am going to the customers, I talk to large audience, I give talks, and so on. So it was challenging. But if you want me to, let's say one example where the barriers got broken, or challenges, a challenge that made me go up is that the first time, so I joined in a company called Dow Chemical Company, which is the world's largest chemical company based in US. It is 120 to 140 years now old company, maybe 40,000 people working in that company. So you are just one employee in Mumbai office, and to get recognized and picked up and moved to Dubai is it's itself a testimonial of how you performed in the last 4 or 5 years. But when you come out, I remember my first time I had to go to South Africa. So my audience always were Indians. I was talking to Indian associations or group of doctors of Indian origin, right? So the first time I had to go to South Africa, so I didn't read much. So I thought I will be encountering the Africans, right? But when I got down from the airport, they took me directly to a room which was full of the British and Dutch origin people, and all about 60s and 50s, looking at me, what this guy is going to teach us or talk to us. Now you can either faint, right, or you can stumble, you can get nervous, and you just come out of the talk. But I think I took that as a challenge. I knew one thing, that what I'm going to talk, I think nobody else know what I'm going to talk, right? So I have the ability to talk what I want to talk, and I have the knowledge that maybe they might not have thought about. So you have to face, you have to take it with the right attitude. Definitely, you will get people who try to, push you to that nervousness. But I think that was the first challenge when you move out of India to face a international audience, and then come out of that fear and get that confidence that it's your education, it's your knowledge, it's your attitude that all matters. But challenges are ongoing every minute, every hour in a corporate world. As I said, you're evaluated. And at a company of a multinational scale, so I worked in Dow, and then we had a merger. I moved to DuPont, equally big in size. Then I moved to another company called IFF as a part of the mergers and acquisition. I didn't change my business, but I was moving the companies, uh, which is an American company, and then finally into a German company called LANXESS. All through you see, you have different management. I had 13 managers in a period of 12 years. So you have to, so your performance is never ending. I mean, every day of your life is a performance. You have to show. But then it becomes your habit. So it's not something that you have to do. You know the market, you know your products, you know the technology, you know how to be confident, you know how to talk, you know to solve problems. And then there you go. Then you don't have to have, you don't have to artificially bring in the performance. What you do is your performance. Okay. So I see, so challenges, and make that habit of facing challenge. Don't think that this is challenge. I'm going to be challenged tomorrow, and then day after tomorrow I'm free of challenges. No. If taking challenges as it comes becomes your habit, you will go a long way.
Thank you for sharing that example. It really illustrates how the power of changing obstacles into breakthroughs are truly important. So, now let's discuss the interplay between technology and strategy. In today's rapidly evolving industrial landscape, how do you see digital transformation and emerging technologies influencing the way businesses approach microbial control and process optimization?
Okay. So let me just briefly tell you first what do I generally do. So as you see, my company's name has something called as microbial control. So what do I do? Is basically the company manufactures a lot of products that help industries to control the contamination or microorganisms in their process. So be it an oil field, be it a paint factory, be it a personal care manufacturing unit, wherever you have water, you have microorganisms. So there needs to be technology which will protect the product, which will protect the process, and which will also protect the people, right? So your company, so my company devices for technologies, and I have to, initially I was actually applying the technology into the real world. So it was really problem solving application into the real world, which was very interesting because every day you face a new problem and you have to find the solution for your customer or your client, which also enhances your company's business, right? So going back to your question, so the technologies that I use, keep on evolving on its own because industry is changing. Um, for example, maybe 10 years back, when I'm getting prepared for a meeting, or if I have to prepare a presentation, I would be starting from scratch. Obviously, today I have technologies which help me to do many things which I don't have to waste my time, right? So definitely technologies, specifically the AI technologies, are being used, but again, very diligently. It has to be used in a way that it doesn't invade the privacy or confidentiality of your company. At the same time, it just makes you relieve your time from the monotonous work, which doesn't need your brain to function. So obviously, so technology is coming. And when you talk about innovation, so every day, because you're talking to the market, you're talking to the customers, the problems are different, as I said, and the problems are never the same. So there is no one solution for everything. The solutions are different, and the solutions have to be tailor-made. The solutions have to be thought about. It have to be innovative. So innovation, again, as I said, performance or facing challenge should an habit. Innovating and problem solving should also be a habit. Now, problem solving, technically, you can say it's a technical problem solving, but when you get into management, so what I'm doing now, I am into a management role. So I don't go and meet customers or I don't solve the problem, but I'm in a management role, managing the company's products and assets and kind of bringing value to the company. Again, it's problem solving. There are a lot of problems that needs to be solved for others. So once you have the habit of solving problems, you can solve others'
Others'
problem,
problem.
right? So yes, so innovation, evolution of technology is slowly getting adapted. Access to information is very easy, but what you need to do with the information is still requires your brain. How do you put the information in front of the company, in front of the customer, still requires your personal expertise. No AI, no robots can help you. It is your experience, it's your education that matters at the end of the day. But yes, I have to be updated, and I am updated with the technology as far as I can.
So moving on to market strategy, could you share how you develop market strategies for biocides across such diverse regions such as Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific? And what are some unique challenges that you face, and how do you overcome them?
Okay. So, picking up from where I said from the last question was there is an element of confidentiality. So, this is something which is very much into the company's strategy and performance. But I want to say in a different way, because I think your audience are mostly kids or children who wants to get into the corporate world. Now, what is strategy, and what do you call a strategy? Now, simple example is rebranding a product is a strategy, correct? So, and what is being tactical? You know what is tactical and being strategic? So, tactical means it's a very short term approach. So, how do I grow my business in the next 2 years, next 1 year? Or how do you kind of come over the challenge that I'm facing with a customer now? So, more tactical approach, right? Which is more short term thinking. But when you have to be strategic, you need to have a past experience, because only when you have a long 10-year of experience or 20 years of experience, you can envision the next 10 to 20 years, right? So strategy, building a strategy right from the college. I come into a company, oh, I'm building a strategy for the company. Nobody will even look into that strategy, because just to answer you how you make a strategy is, it is definitely a product of experience, a product of know-how, a product of the market knowledge, and very important is your vision about where the market is going. Let's take a simple example. I wouldn't take my domain, but let's take the mobile phones. When I was of your age, I think Nokia and Sony used to lead the world of mobile phones, right? Do you see them today? So,
Right.
do you think that they didn't have a strategy? They did have a strategy, right? They did have tactical approach to the market for the short term, and they did have strategies. So, one element of strategy is it's never constant. It keeps on changing. In the last 19 years, I would have worked on almost 6 or 7 strategies. So, which means the strategies are evolving, correct? Which means the market is evolving, your strategies has to evolve. Which means, how do you do the strategy? The skill set you need is your experience, is the knowledge, and a thorough understanding of the market. If you don't know the market, you should not sit in the table and make any strategies. You just sit and listen to what people are saying. But at the same time, you should also be able to gauge where the market is going. You should also be having the intellect to think what can come in. For example, if I'm making a strategy for the company in 2019, and I say my X sales, X million dollars, would be 5X in 2022. What happened in 2020? There was COVID. My sale was X by 2, not 5X. So so you need to also consider the subtle changes in the market, as well as dramatic changes in the market that come in. For example, when maybe individually I have started thinking now. For example, when I buy a new technology, immediately I know that this technology is for the next 2 or 3 years. Can I say that I take this mobile and is going to last for 10 years? We all know it is not, right? So assume when you make a strategy, apart from what I know of the market, also consider the factor that market is evolving at much faster rate than before. From black and white to color TV, if it took 10 years, from color TV to a flat panel, took maybe 5 years. And from a flat panel to projectors and so on, maybe 2 years. I'm just giving an example. The pace of technology advancement is faster. With AI coming into picture, many jobs, for example, business analysis or what we call as Power BI tools and so on, nobody sits and break their head on what's the margin, what's the sales, what is the hypothesis in 5 years. Everything the machine does, right? So what I'm trying to say is that we have to consider the factor of the rapid advancement in the technology, the rapid change in the market, sometimes the abrupt change in the market, which comes with wars, which comes with invasion of one country to the other country, sometimes as a trade war. Um, can you predict the stock market of US in the next 5 years? You cannot, right? So there may be some disruptive elements in the world of business. There can be epidemics, pandemics, and so on. So to your question, how do I do that? Is definitely it has to be backed with experience, the knowledge of the product, of the process, of the company. You need to be aligned with the vision of the company. You need to be aligned with the market. You need to be aligned with your customer's need. Now, suppose I have to make a new mobile and you are my consumer. So, who should I talk to? I should talk to them. I should get their feedback. Maybe what he thinks or what she thinks is what they will be looking for in the future. So I have to incorporate that element into the strategy. So it's called as a voice of customer, VOC. So voice of customer is one of a very important element when you make strategies. You cannot sit in a closed conference room with an AC on and start making strategy. You have to be in touch with the market. You have to be constantly in touch with the market. Let me put that, because the requirement of people keeps changing. Okay, so there is no one template on how I make a strategy, but all these elements get into to make a strategy, and you have to be constantly evolving yourself on that.
Totally agree with that. And your perspective is truly invaluable for anyone who's looking to succeed in the dynamic marketplace. Now let's explore the technical side a bit. Your background in enzyme fermentation and microbial control has led to several publications and patents. How do you see your research and technical expertise is shaping the future?
Okay, I I like this question because I think I need to give you a perspective. Now, any corporate, what are the most important pillars of a corporate?
Customers, the employees,
And
the product, or the
yeah,
idea,
correct.
the solution.
So I put it in three P's:
Mhm.
product, the process, and people. Correct. So people makes a company, people make the process makes the product. Correct. So these three P is what makes a company. Now, why I started with this is everything you say, everything that I say in terms of how R&D is helping, how quality control is helping, or how people management help, will all link back to this three P's. Correct? If these three P's are in alignment, if these three P's are taken care of in a very good way, the company progresses. Can you have a company with sad people? Can you have a company with a shady, shitty product? No. Can you have a company where process brings in loss in the energy or in raw material? No. So all these factors make it. Now, how does the R&D play a picture? And then I'll tie up to what I did in PhD and so on. But how does it tie up to R&D? Now, as I said, when you make a strategy, when you take the voice of customer, you always have to evolve. You have to change in your strategy. Equally important is you have to evolve your products. Correct. Now, evolving the product is basically mostly done from a R&D perspective. Now, R&D can exist in two ways. One is the core R&D, which is completely detached from the market. You know why? Because they are thinking academically about the how of the product, or the actual working of the product or the process. They are not worried about what people think or what is happening in the market. They are trying to optimize a process. They may be streamlining or removing some deficiency of the product and so on. This is a core R&D, which is nothing to do with the market at present. But definitely, it is linked only to one aspect of the market, is where the market in future will be. But the second type of R&D, which is more linked to the market, and that is where I had worked in the past, is it's an R&D which is led from the market. Okay, which is more dynamic, which is more changing, which is evolving, and which requires constant feedback from the market. Okay, so let's assume that I go to a customer A and he comes back with a unique problem, and then I need to go back to the R&D and say that I face this new problem. Can you devise me a new product, or can you devise a new formulation or new process, to counter that problem? Correct. So this is one type of R&D. Now, in both the R&D, you require one skill set, which is you need to identify the problem, you need to think how to solve the problem, and you need to be innovative, and you need to have the knowledge, right? So, how does my PhD help? I think I answered the question. So, PhD is what? You get a title that I'm going to produce an enzyme from an organism X and upscale it in a way that it can be used. What do I have with me? Nothing. Correct? I just have the title and a guide and an outline to what I should do. So you have to start from the scratch, find the organism, right? Produce the product, optimize the product, make it usable in the market. Where do I get my guidance? Nowhere. It's completely new. So what your PhD teaches you is not to be an expert, a subject matter expert on that title, but it gives you a skill set of starting from scratch, building it, improvising it, optimizing it, applying it. Correct? So it's a skill set that you get from PhD. Now, do people who do a PhD needs to continue doing what they're doing in their PhD? If I give you some examples from the industry, many of the leading CEOs in many companies who just manages people, manages the organization, corporate, have done their PhDs. So what are they doing in their management role, right? So it's a skill set. So some people confuse that I'm a PhD, I'm a doctorate in this subject, so I must die with this subject. I have to be only, it is good if you can do that, because then you are really a subject matter expert of that. But at the same time, I would put PhD as a period where your skill set to start from scratch, build, improvise, optimize, and apply skill gets enhanced. And this you can apply to any research field that you encounter. Now, with what I had in my mind, I didn't want to go into pure research. I wanted to have more application-based research, and therefore I said R&D can be of two, which is a core-based, and one which is more a feedback-based or a market-based. And that is where I decided to go for a market-based research job. Okay.
Yeah. And looking at the collaboration aspect, networking and collaboration are key to driving industry innovation. Can you share a story on how strategic partnership or collaborative project have helped propel a significant change or improvement in your field?
So I think let's analyze these, each word which you said: collaborative, strategic. What else?
And innovative.
Innovative. I think these are some words which will keep repeating in any presentations, in any discussion in the corporate. But these have a real time application, real time meaning in the market. For example, as I said in my past answers, innovation should be your habit. Okay, you keep innovating yourself as a personality, you keep innovating for the company, you keep innovating as a solution provider. So innovation is a habit. Okay, and strategy is how you apply this innovation for a long period of time. So, can I do these two things, a strategy and innovation, in isolation? No. It has to always be with a collaboration. Now, collaboration can be multifaceted. Collaboration between the colleagues, collaboration between R&D, two departments, R&D quality control, R&D and process. Collaboration can be between me and my customer. Collaboration can be between me and my customer's customer. Correct? So these three words are something which we do on a general basis, on a daily basis. Every time you go out, you're collaborating. Every time you're talking inside the company, you're collaborating. So collaboration um, is a basic of any corporate life. But if you're looking for a specific answer on how collaboration help, definitely most of the big projects in the industry happens through multi collaboration. So companies which have a need will always collaborate with a company that produces something which can match the collaboration. And you sign an NDA. What is NDA? It's a non-disclosure agreement, so that the confidentiality is maintained between both the companies, and you innovate and you strategize. So all these words are now coming into real picture, right? So for my kind of job, I think collaboration is a very common stuff that we do. I collaborate with my colleagues, I collaborate with departments, I collaborate with companies, I collaborate with individuals. So essential, very important. You cannot work in isolation. You have to work in collaboration.
And moving on to continuous learning.
Yes.
In the field that's constantly evolving, what habits or practices you have adopted to ensure that you stay ahead of the curve, both technically and strategically?
Definitely. I don't know if you face a situation. Suppose you're very angry, okay, and you are facing somebody who has done something wrong. You can bring down your anger if for a minute you are in their shoes, right? Think like them. So you may find an excuse on why he did that, correct?
Yeah.
Which may kind of pacify your anger. So what I'm trying to say is, always think in a way that think outside your mind, or out of the box, you say, right? But I'm saying think out of the mind. My mind has a wall, as a perimeter, right? Which is made up of all my thoughts, all my consciousness, whatever I see, whatever I feel, whatever I have emotionally felt. But is that everything? It is not. There is a different aspect, different perspective, altogether a different ideology, maybe. So it's the same strategy that applies in constant learning, correct? So when you go to a customer, or you go to the company and face the company CEO, or you go to a customer and face the customer's problem, always put the mind in their mind, to think why they are thinking so, what led them to think so, what can make them happy. You think like them. When you think like them, what you learn will be much better than they explaining to us, right? So what I'm trying to think is, you live the experience of what the problem is. When you identify the problem, then you can solve it in a much better pace and in a much better way, as compared to somebody giving a problem on a sheet of paper. So what it gives you is a constant learning. Now, why I said this property is important is because if you have this kind of inclination to look at the problem from all the angles, right? You will constantly learn and you will constantly evolve. If I'm going to do everything, all the problem solving only in my way, through using my ideology, using my mind, using my experience, I will always go through a same road. I will always approach the problem in the same way. Correct? So, constant evolution of learning requires listening, understanding what the problem is, what the person is saying, which will broaden your vision, which will broaden your thinking beyond what you experience within your mind. Okay, so how do you stay ahead of this? Is make this another habit. So by now I have given you some of the characters that you need to have as a habit, right?
True.
I will definitely ask you at the end what those habits are. But one of the habit is that you always be on the constant learning. Don't kind of block yourself in the 360-degree skull that you have around your brain. So keep it open, learn, and that has to be constant learning. Now, if my child comes and teaches me a new software and I say, no, 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 this is done, I stop learning, right?
Yeah.
So learning can come from all areas, and keep your eyes and mind open, and you are always ahead of time.
That's
Right.
fantastic. Touching on a more personal note, throughout your career, what has been the most rewarding aspect of working at the intersection of science, technology, and business development?
Okay. Two things I can say, one is professionally and one is personally. I think what all we do today, okay, as a person, it has to make a change in the society, to another person, to the environment, to anybody, right? I mean, what is the purpose of life? One is consume, right? You consume food, you consume whatever you have in the environment, and you consume the pleasures of life. Then you become a consumer. But be a producer, right? You also can produce. You can also impart education. You can make somebody happy. You can solve some problems, right? I think what this kind of job or this kind of life that gave me is to touch upon different problems, able to solve those problems, be a customer's go-to person when they have a problem, which is a magnificent role, right? I mean, you are solving a lot of problems in many areas. Plus, your experience, your knowledge, your feedback from customer is helping you to produce or make new products, make new technologies, or optimize the process or optimize the technology. So you're also creating. So there is creation, there is problem solving, and I think that professionally gives you more satisfaction than being a manager and managing people, right? Managing people is a tough job, but you can bring happiness to the person, you can uplift him, you can make his career good. But at the same time, jobs like this can also give you a pleasure of bringing the difference in the society, in the industry, to people, and to the company that you're working with. Okay, so that's the professional way um, of of looking at what you achieved, or what is that thing that made you happy. From a personal point of view, imagine somebody uh, 20 years back in a small town in Mumbai, in a middle class family, in a small building, going to a very normal school in the Maharashtra board, not even the IGSE, CGC, BBC, whatever, a very normal school, moving with friends, and what? And you come all this way long, you meet people from different countries. Fortunately, I've been to all continents. I've been met people from all different countries. I made friends. I learned a lot of stuff. I lost my inhibitions. Not lost, I came out of my inhibitions, confidence that I can do whatever I want to do. At the same time, I'm also able to stand, you know, be rooted at the same, not fly up, and because I come from that humble background. So you know that whatever you do, you have to be rooted. Your culture, you can keep your culture, you can educate your kids in the right way. So personally, of course, I mean, as a personality development, anybody would want to do this, right? So when you can achieve this, and there's a lot more to achieve, this is not the end. I may be in the next role managing more people, I may be head of a country in the future, so there will be more challenges, more learnings, and so on. So I think personally, nothing can block you, nothing can stop you. There is nothing that you cannot do. I think that's the best personal happiness you can get.
Thank you for sharing that personal perspective. As we approach our final segment, what do you believe will be the next big challenge or opportunity in the microbial control space?
A
And how
lot.
should aspiring professionals prepare to tackle it?
Okay, so now I'm going to be a little more specific about the industry, because whoever listens and if they want to take up a career, see, microbiology is a vast subject, right? I mean, it touches different aspects of sciences. You can have a microbiologist in medical science. You can have it on the in the space, looking at the microbiology in the space. You can have microbiologists doing waste treatment because microorganisms are needed, and people like me, microorganisms in the industry, controlling them, using them in a way that is beneficial. Food industry, pharma, you name any industry, microbiology touches at different aspects in the industry. So, if you have the affinity of biology, biological sciences, definitely microbiology is one multifaceted subject that can get into all the subjects from a microbiology or from microorganism perspective, virology, um, fungus, algae. There's so many fields that you can explore. And all these fields have direct impact on the society, from producing biofuels to managing the waste, for your health to vaccines, to pharma, medicines, antibiotics, to food industry to make bread. You see any industries which is very close to us, personal care industry, any industries that are close. And as the world is moving to more eco-friendly, sustainable, who can help you faster? The microorganisms, right? Can you use hectares of land to to produce to grow a plant that produces fuel, or I would grow fuel in a flask with millions of microorganisms. So microorganisms is a powerhouse of producing many things, and the world is moving to a more greener, sustainable uh, society, which means more and more microorganism will be put to use. And this field definitely has a long as a current opportunities which I already mentioned, but more opportunities like generating electricity, generating fuels. I also very recently heard that you can use bacteria and virus to put in your body to go and do a particular work. So advancement is going to be immense, to, tremendous in this field. And if you are serious about what you like, and if you want to make a career in microbiology, be it research, be it industry, go for it. And this industry is definitely going to evolve.
Thank you
Okay.
for those insightful words. As we wrap up, if you could leave our listeners with one actionable piece of advice on leadership and innovation, what would it be?
I would give the summary of what I spoke. So, as I said, everything starts with the aspect of identifying what you like to do, right? I don't know uh, how much of the population today think about giving back. You know what you learned as an experience, what you learned as the know-how to the society. So I think when you have that mindset, you go to the problem solving, you go to kind of mitigating some issues, which is like giving back to the society. So if I go back to your question, it's what leadership and
And innovation.
innovation. So innovation, as I said, is a constant uh, learning, problem solving. Think as the problem. Don't think from your perspective, but think as an outsider or as the problem, and come out of it when you think beyond your boundaries. So innovation is an ongoing, your knowledge about the market, the knowledge of problem solving helps you. In terms of leadership, it's your attitude that matters. Okay, you're in a competitive world. So you and me are colleague, correct? You and me join at the same time. We will be competing against each other to go into a position. So there's a constant competition. But what is a sign of a leader? The sign of the leader is not only being competitive, but also is able to uplift other colleagues, uplift people from where they are, right? So you're a positive. So you are positively impacting your workplace. So when a company looks as a team, what they look, or how is as a team player, right? A team player, whether he's an individual contributor or is a team contributor. The more you work as a team, the more your leadership quality evolves. The second important character of a leader is taking risk, is owning the responsibility, correct? Accountability. So I like a saying that whatever good you do in my team, for example, I have a team, whatever good you do belongs to you, but any problem belongs to me. That's how a leader should be. So you are accountable for whatever good and bad, but give the credit of good to the people who do. You do two things: you make them accountable and you uplift them. At the same time, you act like a leader. You don't want the credit for him. You are above the credit, right? So you are a leader in the true sense. At the same time, when you so you are taking you're not taking the credit of being doing something good, but when there is a bad, the person is not worried because he knows that his manager will take care of it. So he works in a better way. At the same time, you as a leader is more accountable. Now, to be accountable, you have to be experienced, knowledgeable. You know how the people's skill set is, that all that comes in place. So be a positive contributor, a team player. Take risk. Okay, you need to take care of yourself, but at the same time, don't harm the colleagues next to you. Okay, you can grow and get into a place maybe much slower than somebody who is backstabbing, or because corporate is a place where everything happens, right? So you can be a good a positive player, a team player in your team, and the company definitely recognizes. They don't want a negative leader, right? They want a positive leader. Okay, and the last important, don't think for yourself as a leader, think for the company you work for, the people you work for, the products you work for, and bringing value to the company. So the more you bring value to the company, the more they cherish having you. Otherwise, they will show you the door, right? So leadership qualities: being positive, team player, accountability, and very important, think about the company and people. Okay?
Thank you so much for your words of wisdom and sharing us your remarkable journey with us today.
Thank you, Pinnacle Pathways. I don't know how much it will be heard, but whoever hears it, if it makes sense, follow some of what I said. If not, thank you.
And Mr. Subhash, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on our podcast, and your expertise in the industrial microbiology, strategic marketing, and global business development offers a wealth of inspiration for anyone who's looking forward in this field. And thank you everyone for tuning in for this podcast of Pinnacle Pathways. And we hope you have gained a fresh perspective of the strategic leadership, innovation, and market transformation. Be sure to subscribe for more inspiring stories and actionable advice. Until next time, keep learning, keep innovating, and keep pushing your boundaries. Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of our podcast. A huge thank you to our guests for sharing such valuable insights, and to all of you for tuning in.
At Pinnacle Pathways, our mission is to empower the next generation of professionals. And conversations like these are a powerful step in that direction.
This podcast is proudly produced by us, Yuvam and Aarya, as part of our commitment to bridging the gap between education and the corporate world.
Today's episode sparked a new perspective, helped you to learn something, or simply made you think. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And make sure to connect with us on social media for updates, resources, and more content designed to help you thrive in the real world.
Until next time, remember to keep innovating, captivating,
and elevating your way to the pinnacle.